All right, Chiefs Kingdom, buckle up. We've got some major trade rumors to break down today. The buzz is heating up around the possibility of Kansas City making a move for wide receiver Garrett Wilson and even a potential reunion with former Chief Tyrann Mathieu. Could either of these deals actually happen? And more importantly, should they? That's exactly what we're diving into. Now, before we get into the details, I want to hear from you. If you had to choose between these two players, Wilson or Mathieu, who would you rather see in a Chiefs uniform next season? Drop a W in the comments if you want Garrett Wilson or an M if you'd rather bring back the Honey Badger. Let's see what the Kingdom thinks. Adding a star wide receiver like Wilson to Mahomes' arsenal? That could be a game changer. But what about Mathieu? He's a leader, a playmaker, and someone who knows this defense inside and out. Would bringing him back make sense? Or is that ship already sailed? Stick with me, because we're going to break it all down. We'll talk about what Wilson could bring to this offense, whether the price is right, and if the Chiefs are even in a position to make a trade. Then, we'll get into the Mathieu rumors and whether a reunion is realistic. Sound good? Let's get into it. And don't forget, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a Chiefs update. Let's start with the big name floating around, Garrett Wilson. If the Chiefs are serious about upgrading their wide receiver room, Wilson would be a massive addition. But is it realistic? And more importantly, is it worth the cost? First, let's talk about what makes Wilson such a hot commodity. Since entering the league, he's proven himself as one of the best young receivers in football. Last season with the Jets, despite shaky quarterback play, he still managed to rack up over 100 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. That's impressive, especially considering the instability at the quarterback position in New York. Pairing him with Patrick Mahomes? That could take this offense to another level. But here's the catch. Landing Wilson won't come cheap. The Jets know what they have, and if they're even willing to entertain trade talks, they'll be asking for significant draft capital. A first-round pick is almost a guarantee, and possibly more. Are the Chiefs willing to pay that price? Remember, Kansas City has been carefully managing its cap space and draft assets to maintain long-term success. Now let's say the Chiefs pull the trigger. What does that look like? Imagine an offense with Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, and Garrett Wilson. That would be one of the scariest receiving corps in the NFL. Mahomes would finally have a true number one receiver to stretch the field and open up even more opportunities for Kelce and Rice underneath. But here's where I want your input. Should the Chiefs make this move? Would you be okay giving up a first-round pick for Garrett Wilson? Vote in the comments. T for trade, P for pass. Let's see where the Kingdom stands on this. One more thing to consider, Wilson is still on his rookie contract, but he'll be due for a massive extension soon. If the Chiefs trade for him, they'll have to be ready to pay him big money. Can Kansas City afford to make that kind of financial commitment while also keeping other key players on the roster? At the end of the day, Wilson would make the Chiefs' offense more explosive. But the front office has to weigh whether he's worth the cost. The Chiefs have other needs to address, especially on the offensive line and defense, so trading away high draft picks could impact the team's ability to fill those holes. So what do you think? Is Garrett Wilson worth a blockbuster trade, or should the Chiefs focus on other areas? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. Now, speaking of potential moves, what about the possibility of bringing back Tyrann Mathieu? Could we see the Honey Badger return to Kansas City? Let's get into that next. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let's talk about another big rumor. Could Tyrann Mathieu be on his way back to Kansas City? The Honey Badger was a fan favorite during his time with the Chiefs, but would bringing him back now make sense? Let's break it down. First, there's no denying Mathieu's impact during his first stint in KC. He was a leader on and off the field, a key piece of the defense, and a major reason why the Chiefs won. Super Bowl live. His instincts, versatility, and ability to make clutch plays made him one of the best safeties in the league. But here's the thing. His departure wasn't exactly smooth. When Mathieu left in free agency to sign with the Saints, there was some tension. He delayed signing his contract just long enough to prevent the Chiefs from getting a compensatory pick. That move didn't sit well with some fans and even some in the front office. So if a reunion were to happen, there would have to be some fences mended. Now, let's talk about the actual need. The Chiefs' secondary is young but talented. Justin Reed and Brian Cook have held things down at safety, and the team just added Jaden Hicks in the draft. Does Mathieu fit into this group, or would bringing him back take away valuable snaps from younger players? Another factor to consider, how much does Mathieu have left in the tank? He's still playing at a high level, but he's not quite the same player he was in his prime. If the Chiefs were to bring him back, it would likely be on a short-term, team-friendly deal. The question is whether Kansas City would even want to go that route, especially if the focus is on developing younger talent. But let's put it to you. Should the Chiefs bring back the Honey Badger? Type Y for yes if you want him back, or N for no if you think it's time to move on. Let's see where the kingdom stands. One thing's for sure. Chiefs GM Brett Veach has never been afraid of making bold moves, especially when it comes to bringing back familiar faces. We've seen him reunite with players before. Could Mathieu be next? It's not impossible, but it would have to make sense financially and schematically. But what if the Chiefs decide to focus on other areas instead of making a splashy move for Wilson or Mathieu? There are still key positions that need attention. Let's take a look at what else the Chiefs might do to strengthen the roster. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, we've talked about Garrett Wilson. We've talked about Mathieu. But what if Kansas City doesn't pull the trigger on either move? What other areas still need attention heading into the season? Let's break it down. One of the biggest concerns right now is the left guard position. Protecting Patrick Mahomes has to be the top priority, and there's some uncertainty at that spot. Kingsley Suamataia struggled last season, and while he has the potential to improve, the Chiefs need to add competition. There are some intriguing prospects in the draft, like Tyler Booker from Alabama or Tate Ratledge from Georgia. Would Kansas City go after a young, talented lineman, or should they look at a veteran free agent? Then there's the wide receiver situation. If the Chiefs don't land Garrett Wilson, they still need another weapon for Mahomes. Rashee Rice showed promise, but with his off-the-field issues, the team might need insurance. There's also Xavier Worthy, the rookie with blazing speed, but expecting him to be a number one receiver right away might be too much. So, do the Chiefs look for another veteran WR? Maybe someone like Tyler Lockett if he becomes available? Another strategy Kansas City could take is using the draft to fill multiple needs instead of spending big on a blockbuster trade. The team has been successful in developing young talent, and with Mahomes under center, they don't need an all-star cast. They just need the right pieces. So, let's hear from you. What do you think is the biggest need for the Chiefs right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should they focus on left guard, another wide receiver, or maybe even another defensive piece? Let's get a conversation going. One thing is certain. Brett Veach and Andy Reid will have a plan. Whether it's a trade, a free agent signing, or a draft day move, the Chiefs are always looking for ways to improve. And whatever they do, you know we'll be here breaking it all down for you. Speaking of breaking things down, let's wrap this up with a final look at everything we've covered and what it all means for the future of the Chiefs. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, we've covered a lot today. From the rumors about Garrett Wilson to the possibility of Mathieu returning, plus other key needs the team still has to address. There's a lot to think about as we get closer to the season. So, let's sum it up. Trading for Garrett Wilson would give Mahomes another elite weapon, but the price might be too steep. Bringing back Mathieu would add experience to the secondary, but is it the right move considering how things ended last time? And if neither of those moves happen, Kansas City still has to make decisions on the offensive line and wide receiver positions. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were Brett Veach, what would you do? Would you pull the trigger on a blockbuster trade? Would you bring back the Honey Badger? Or would you focus on other areas? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading through them. Also, don't forget to vote. Should the Chiefs trade for Garrett Wilson? Type T for trade, P to pass. And should Mathieu come back? Y for yes, N for no. Let's see where the kingdom stands. If you love Chiefs content like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. We're bringing you the latest news, rumors, and breakdowns all season long. Hit that noti bell and join the squad. That's it for today. Until next time, Chiefs Kingdom.